Welcome to my Conquest monthly update session. I'm going to be covering Release Notes 11. This is from November 2024. The reason why I'm going back in time is because there was a pretty significant update at that time. So just to draw your attention and remind everyone how to get there to the updates, the monthly updates are published in the support and resources. And if you go to the knowledge base, you can see what's new right here. So when we go into what's new, I'm going to click on Release 11 2024. And in here, we can see a summary or the table of contents of this monthly update. The biggest one, I would say, is the SAM Insights. And so that's what I wanted to take time to review with you today. It's pretty significant. And we're just going to work through the table of contents here, and we'll start right from the top. So let's begin. Let's dive in. So the new feature, SAM Insights, it's called. This feature has been enhanced to work in parallel with advisors as they build their plan to suggest, highlight, and draw attention to insights that can correct, further define, and improve a plan. SAM Insights is effectively an AI-led advisor tool. So I think that's a nice summary of what SAM Insights is all about. So if I go back to my software for a second and just draw your attention over here in the upper right corner, you'll see this little light bulb, and this is Insights. This has always been here before, but now the difference is we have a more front-facing AI engine just pointing out and highlighting things within the plan that should or be considered to be updated. It could be a certain rate of return that's out of a range that's acceptable. It could be an inflation rate that's out of that range that's acceptable, right? So if you stick to the default settings within the software, you'll see less and less of these alerts, but still, as you enter data within the cards here for your client's financial situation, you'll also notice here, see that little diamond, orangey yellow, as well as these little blue symbols here. These are just drawing your attention to some key points within the data cards that should be considered. Maybe they were missed, maybe they were overlooked. It's just Sam saying, hey, take a look here, don't forget this data point. So moving back here, you'll notice Insights, it categorizes it, as you can see right now. It says top priority, items needing attention, and additional information. So this capability on the right-hand side is now able to stay there no matter which tab you navigate to. Before, we could only see some of these insights if we were on the planning tab here. But now if I navigate back to the client overview section, you'll notice that I still have access to the insights. I can still move it to the right or pull it back out again. Okay, just some little tweaks there, little clicks. But as I continue on, you'll see top priority. See, it's flagged a rate of return that I've entered. So in the asset allocation card, it's drawn my attention here. And I just did this on purpose because if I go into this card and go to my investment profiles, you can see I created a custom rate of return. I used a 10% rate of return. And if I go into more data, you can see I created a little bit of interest, dividends, cap gains, deferred growth to get to that 10% overall rate of return. Well, Conquest has flagged that as saying, hey, this is above acceptable range. Just want to be mindful of that. And if it is something that you can back up with evidence or with historical returns on a portfolio or something, by all means, you can proceed. You can implement that and just make some notes for compliance purposes, just to be mindful of. It could have been something else, maybe in the plan assumptions. I changed the inflation rate. Let's say I put it to 4%. You know, back in 2022, 2023, inflation was a lot higher. I observed some advisors wanting to implement that idea into the current plan. And you'll notice there, once again, it's flagged a high inflation rate. Okay, so I'm going to pull it back to the inflation rate before. I think it was 2.2, and it'll take it away again. So this is what SAM Insights is providing. It's more at the forefront, alerting you. I can see this being really useful for users who are still getting their feet wet with the software, or maybe you're going back into a plan that you haven't visited for a while, and it just flags some things, some areas that it's saying, hey, take a look at this again. Is this okay? Maybe we need to make some updates. So those are the two main ways that I can see it being really useful. For those who are further along with their Conquest usage, Like myself, I did at first find it a little bit of a sort of speed bump in my process. I felt it slowed me down, but the more I used it, the more I realized it's there to help me. And I think I'm going to be leveraging this a lot more in plans I review. It just points out things a lot quicker to me rather than having to back out and go through each card to figure out where I was in the plan. Now I can just go to Insights and I can take a quick look at the top priority, items needing attention, as well as additional information. Okay, so I'm just going to work through a couple of these, but just go back to the notes just to remind myself. You can see SAM Insights is aiming to improve the plan quality. It's there to help you, right? It's going to highlight some opportunities, maybe some things you weren't aware of or thinking about with regards to your client situation. I think that could be a good thing. It can also warn where plans aren't achievable. Maybe there's an unrealistic goal that's been set. Maybe there's a spending in retirement that's too low or too high, unachievable. So it's just asking you to confirm and maybe make adjustments. It can also be there to celebrate plan achievement. So when you're at 100% of goal coverage on anything, it's going to help you celebrate that. So think of it as your little caddy on the side. You're the pro golfer. Your caddy is going to be cheering you on. That's the best analogy I've heard. And then finally, guide the user to confirming the plan and actioning the to-do list. All right, so you can see them just blowing up the screenshot that they have in the notes. You can see I've highlighted on the right, SAM Insights there. One other thing I just wanted to point out to you, before this was available, you might recall we've always had in the review tab integrity check. So it will always flag things that are out of that acceptable range, whether it's life expectancy, rate of return, or inflation. Those are the three main things that I would flag right away, or it could be a growth rate on a lifestyle asset. It'll always flag it here, but just note this, we can always add our notes for compliance purposes. Maybe the client was adamant, no, I don't want you to use an age 90 life expectancy. I don't think I'm going to live past age 85, and they insist you use age 85. So that'd be an example of why I might want to stray from those acceptable ranges and include my compliance note, and I can say simply client insisted or client requested that I use age 85 as a life expectancy. So that's just an example of how I might use that. Okay. Further insight here, if I just go back to the notes really quickly, and I go to the integrity check, I can search for that. And I wanted to draw your attention to the notes. This was put in a while ago. I can't remember when exactly, but if I scroll down, you're going to see the integrity limits or ranges. You can see, for example, life expectancy. So when you stray outside of between ages 90 and 98 years of age, that's when it's going to flag that integrity check, okay? As well as plan inflation rate, you can see the range there, and retirement age is to be set between 50 and age 75. Also, lifestyle asset growth rate ranges here and at the bottom there. So investment profile. So as soon as you pass a 7.8% rate of return, it's going to just identify that in the software. So that's where those ranges come from, just some insight into what's going on there. So back to my R11 release notes. I'm going to pick up where I left off down here. I got a little sidetracked, but let's take a look. So insights, we're going back here. So types of insights. So we have integrity checks, and we've got opportunities. I'm going to go into details with these in a moment. And then questions, what's next? And then informational insights, and then actioning insights. Okay, so let's go back to our software and take a look at what this looks like in Conquest. So I'm in my plan, top priority. You can see it's flagged that high rate of return. I can choose to go back and update the data, or if I choose to dismiss it. I'm just going to leave it there for now. Items needing attention. So just to show you, I've got multiple goals in here. I've got a retirement goal, education goal, cash reserve, and a vacation goal, a trip to Greece. Okay, so I've got multiple goals. As you can see, I haven't solved for any of them fully because I'm not at 100% minimum for each of these goals. So it will help guide me through that. So it's saying data concern accounts without savings. So I'm just going right from the top all through 17 of these really quickly if I can. So data concerns accounts without savings. So if I were to go back to the client overview section, go into the accounts, you'll notice these highlighted sections in blue. It's just saying, hey, Don't forget about setting up that pack that the client has. Anything that's already in force or already that the client is doing. If you want to implement a pack as a recommendation, I don't suggest you put it here. You can, but my preference would be to do that in the planning tab over here, just as an FYI. We would apply a savings strategy in expert planning mode, and we'll implement the recommendation to save. Okay, so back here a second, we've got planning preferences. Once again, it's pointing out some things, and if I click on it, I can open it up, and it can say, we can say, okay, let's update the data, or let's not do it right now. So let me just show you, when I update the data, it's going to pull me back to the planning preferences card on the client overview section automatically. And so what this is just pointing out is that I haven't updated this. I've just left the default, okay? So over time, you can leverage SAM, you can leverage the planning preferences here. So if you simply move this red ball either to the right or to the left as to their willingness, your client's willingness to do any of these items, and get a commitment from them, you know, how much additional savings are you willing to commit to in order to achieving your goals? That is the amount you'd want to get a commitment from your client. Let's say they could do, I can commit $1,000 a month into achieving my goals for retirement, my children's education, trip to Greece, etc. So my job as the planner now is to allocate that $1,000 a month amongst all those goals and help my client achieve them. And so we can set expectations. Is this realistic? Is this reasonable? Is this achievable with that $1,000 a month? So just drawing your attention back there as to the connection there. And so as you fill out this section, when you go back to the planning tab, you'll notice the strategies, they're ranked and prioritized, right? Okay, the ones that are most applicable to your client scenario would be near the top. The ones that are least applicable will be near the bottom, okay? So that's the connection there between planning preferences and the strategies ranked and prioritized on the left here, okay? Back to enter items needing attention. So what's next? You know, what am I going to do next? Are there more goals to enter? I could say, no, there aren't any more goals to enter. I've got everything captured in there as an example. What's next? Would you like to include financial well-being in the plan? Okay, maybe not now, or include in the analysis. For those of you who haven't used the financial well-being, it's a module you can add in right here. It's only done through here, but I kind of like it because it gives you some insight into the plan. It gives some details into the total debt service ratio. It gives insight into their cash flow. It gives insight into, do they have enough insurance? These are areas where it can help you flush out your planning and look for opportunities to better your client's situation. So as I solve for my client's goals, the needle will move, and we'll see them move from fair, hopefully, to good at least. All right, so that's what the connection there is. And then if I focus on retirement, you'll notice this is, you know, what's next, these little question marks. But when I get into the star category here, it's asking me to be proactive now and start working on these goals here, okay? So if I focus on retirement, I can go through a checklist. I can implement the income investor profile, not now or take me there. I can scroll through to the next one, pay up to 100,000 annually common share dividends. Okay, from the corp. I do have a corporation in here, so it's identified that. Okay, so there's opportunity there to flow money out from the corp. Sam's picked up on that, which is great. Pay monthly common share dividends, so it's given me some options with that corporation, or to save $1,000 a month. Okay, so you can flow through. Essentially, you can solve for the whole plan just by staying here and going through your checklist down at the bottom. Just to draw your attention, here's a summary here. So there's that warning, return rate. Noticed it's a bit high. Here's a little question mark with the questions, and I can see the list here: data concern, contribution room, asset allocation, etc. Or here are the opportunities. I can focus on the retirement goal. I can work on the cash flow and debt. I can build a cash reserve. Okay, it's just pointing to, you know, save for the future, trip to Greece. It's just pointing towards their goals. Okay, so it gives you that nice checklist. And then probably my favorite favorite part into SAM Insights is these two items here at the bottom where it identifies information insights. And this I really liked because we can see a goal summary here of each of the goals for retirement, education, cash reserve, and major expense goals. It gives you a little summary here. The monthly need, when John's going to retire. Okay, so it's just gives you a nice summary of everything. And as I saw for the goal, things are going to improve, obviously. Okay, and then the other item was the financial overview. I love this because it gives a quick breakdown of the net worth, current net worth, assets minus liabilities, as well as some cash flow, income, and expenses. I can click on it. It's very interactive, and I can get deeper insights into things. These are the KPIs, key performance indicators, which are really at your fingertips really quickly. Before I had to reference up here, these are the KPIs, if you recall, and you can use the little side arrow to scroll over, get some more insight into those KPIs. And that can be done for each of the goals you click on. You've got your KPIs. As well, don't forget about your widget here. This is the cash flow widget. We can see what is unspecified, what is available, what is going towards debt servicing, current expenses, right? As well as here's a net worth summary right now, current net worth, assets minus liabilities. So the nice thing about SAM Insights and the additional information, it's right at your fingertips. No matter what screen you're on, you can always reference it rather than having to go back to the planning tab, for example, or back to the client overview section to get a quick snapshot, right? So those are my favorite parts, I would have to say. So a lot of detail in there. So really, my suggestion would be if you're interested in learning more about SAM Insights, you can reach out to me. Certainly I can help you get up to speed a little more in detail, but it really comes down to practice. The more you use it, the better you're going to get at it, the more insight you're going to get into your client's situation. And like the software in the notes says here, it's really an advisor-led AI tool that brings things to the forefront, I would say. Let's get into actioning insights. So if I were to go back and start actioning some of these, just for example, all right, let's focus on the retirement for a second. And it's saying, I'm not going to do that one. I'm going to... There's the one in here for saving. Here, I'm going to save. So I'm going to say, take me there. There, and it takes me right to the retirement goal. It moved to the upper left. So now I can start solving for it. I'm in expert planning mode. So I said, take me there. It's highlighted the $1,000 a month, and I can click on it to apply that strategy. It now moves to the right and is implemented. So I can see the impact of that strategy. Now, I can't see it here, but if I click onto the strategies here, I can see it's been applied. I can click on it, open it up, and I can quantify the impact of that goal. It raises the retirement goal coverage by 2.7%. Right? Again, we have some flexibility here. So maybe I don't want to put the whole $1,000 a month to the retirement because I need to allocate a bit to the education or the trip to Greece. So maybe I can pull back, right? And I can further customize this. It's just pointing towards that $1,000 that you put in the planning preferences. That's the default. If I had put 500 in that planning preferences, it would have suggested 500 right there. So keep in mind that connection. So I really like that component. If I were to take this out for a second, it's going to move back to the left. And I don't know if it's going to highlight it in red anymore. No, it didn't. So, but I'm going to click on it. But before I click on it and apply it, I have these other options. So this is the next significant update, I would say, in the software. See this little down arrow as well as this little pencil preview. So if I go into open first, we can open up this strategy and get some more details. So we can see the impact. If we save $1,000 a month, the impact is the years with shortfalls. It's going to drop by 2 years. The investments at retirement are going to increase to 82.7K. Monthly ability will now increase by $247 a month, and the retirement success is going to go up. It rounded up to 3%. I like this. I can get insight into this strategy. Before I used to have to click on it, apply it to get that insight and see the impact on the graph. Now I can just open it up and get the insight before I even apply it. Okay, so I can choose to apply it here. I can preview it. So if I click preview, it's not going to apply it yet, but it's going to preview and update my retirement paycheck, right? So it's going to update your reports in the middle here. So I can choose apply or cancel, or I can choose, there was another option, if you noticed, it said skip. Let me go back here. Skip, and then it would just go away, or I'd put the strategy at the bottom of the list again. So really nice features there. I think it just adds to the, the usability of things. Things are more at your fingertips, I would say. It can potentially reduce number of clicks and applying things before you actually apply them, just to get insight. So I really like it. And then the other component is the preview. Let's take a look at that. So yeah, we're getting a preview, pay up to the common share dividend. We can choose to apply it or cancel it, right? So you've got some options. I think I clicked on the wrong strategy for a second. I clicked on this one instead of this one. So let me go back to that preview. There we go. Save $1,000 a month. Okay, so before, remember I clicked on it and moved to the right and I adjusted the monthly amount. Now I can adjust it here before I even apply it. I can see the impact. Notice the graph changed right there. I'll just put back 1,000. Notice the graph will update. There you go. That little red tip was decreased. So I really like this feature. I think that's a really nice one, and it just enhances the overall feel of the software. So I think that could improve my workflow, certainly. Let's go back to my notes here. So dismiss insight. So let's go. What does that mean? So you have some options there. So if I were to go back to my SAM insights, remember this one here? I can choose to dismiss that. Maybe I can exit out, and there's that pop-up window. It says dismiss insight. Basically, it's asking if you want to just do a temporarily dismissal or a permanent dismiss, and you can see the difference there. If I choose to permanently dismiss, another little pop-up window, and we can type in an explanation as to why we want to dismiss this, right? So food for thought. And I think it just gives your planning capabilities, it's a lot more robust, obviously, but a lot more features to get comfortable with at the same time. So pros and cons, that's what I'm trying to say. Let's move on because we've got a lot to get through. Enhancements to the planning modes. Okay. This was nice. So it focuses on 2 planning modes. Remember, there's 3 planning modes in the software. There's step-by-step, expert planning mode, and auto plan with SAM. So it's suggesting or highlighting the fact that the enhancements for this update in this month in November was with regards to expert planning mode. We have a list of suggestions. Okay, I've already covered this. So what am I saying? I'm reading the notes here, but it gives you that little downward arrow and the little pencil mark. So I've reviewed that with you already, to open or to preview. And the same with auto plan with SAM. We've got a really nice feature with auto plan with SAM is that things don't necessarily have to run away from you or feel like they're running away from you like a runaway train. So if I were to share some insight into being a financial planning consultant, I would say most advisors I've worked with prefer expert planning mode, right? So we've got the 3 defaults, step-by-step, expert, and auto plan with SAM. I could see a time and place for auto plan with SAM, but it really wasn't my preference. And that for that reason, the reason for that is because it felt like the planning work would kind of run away from me. I would click auto plan with SAM, and then all these strategies would be flinging out, and I felt like I was losing control over things. So it's paused at the moment. Let me see if I can get things going back with auto plan with SAM. And let me see. So that's the other thing I forgot about. When you have auto plan with SAM, and you have these integrity concerns or these items that need to be addressed, it stops SAM. SAM won't plan for you until you choose to address them. So I can choose to update this data, or I can temporarily dismiss. So once I do that, notice the little squiggly lines here. SAM is thinking again, and it's running, and it says, oh, we've got another data concern. roadblock here or a speed bump, slow down, we've got some data concerns, you have some multiple accounts here, and there's no saving strategies applied. Is that right? Is that fair? And you could say, let's update that data. I forgot to put in the packs, or not now. Let's carry on. And because everything I've entered is accurate as far as I know, we can continue on. We can carry on. Let's see. Let's continue here. So implement the income investor profile. So I made a suggestion on the current versus recommended. It identified that. It's making a suggestion on paying common share dividends out of the corporate retirement. Look at that. The retirement goal is achieved. Did you notice that little pop up here? Okay, there I'm at 122%. So now it's solving for the other goals. Okay, so we've got some things going on. Now autoplan is paused. I don't know if you counted, but there are now settings within SAM, and this is the improvement that I love so much. Before, strategies would be flinging on the wall, so to speak, over here on the right-hand side. I felt like things were out of control for me. But now, when you click on SAM, this little blue sphere in the bottom right, as you can see, we now have settings for SAM, which I love. And notice here, number of strategies before pausing. So the default I have is 4. So SAM will only apply 4 strategies and then it'll pause. It can take stock of where you are, right? So it checks in, it says, hey, this is what's happened so far. I've applied these 4 strategies, and here's how it's improved my financial well-being. Oh, look at that. It went from fair to good. Notice that? The retirement goal went up by 44%, so I'm at 122. Education goal is solved for. I'm at 100%, and the trip to Greece is now at 100%. So I'm good. But if I wanted to let SAM continue or only do 2 suggested strategies applied before pausing, I just need to update that here, okay? So I'm gonna leave it at 4 for now, but it gives you some insight into those things here. And then on the left-hand side, you can see this little wheel where we can see all actions ever applied. Yeah, this is it. Everything is in there. I can choose to stop. I've solved for all my goals with the exception of the cash reserve. Okay, so maybe we want to have a discussion around that. Maybe I can go back to expert planning mode. I can click on the cash reserve, and then maybe I want to take out a line of credit and just solve for that at 100%. You'll notice that's what's required. So that could be controversial. Maybe one advisor may not recommend a line of credit to be used as a cash reserve. Pros and cons, right? So that was something you have to make a decision on, whether that advice is something you would recommend or not. But there's an opportunity anyways. I've solved across all goals. Notice I flipped between expert planning mode and auto plan with SAM, and then back to expert planning mode. That's what I love about the software. You can integrate and flip back and forth. Remember, you're always in control. You're the pro golfer, so to speak. SAM is your caddy, just to make some suggestions as to what can improve your client scenario, okay? All right, let's go back to my notes and check in and see where I am. Nothing to review there. I've covered all this stuff. Pausing, auto plan with SAM, number of strategies before pausing, as you recall, reporting. Okay, so now to complement all these enhancements and updates, we've got a new audit report. And I preloaded it in here. It's called Insights Report. And so this is connecting the SAM insights. So you'll notice here's the top priority. Here's the items needing attention. Here's the data concern about the contribution room, suggestion on creating a legacy goal, managing cash flow and debt, right? So it just creates that itemized list or insights report, and you can compare and contrast. If I build in a plan alternative, I can flip back and forth between the current and another scenario. I can compare and contrast. So it's called this Insights Report, and you might like to add that to some of your favorite reports. Just to show you where I got it from, you can hit the plus tab. Near the bottom, it's under Summary and To Do. is the summary and to-do section, and it's called the Insights Report. You click on it and we can add it in there. You see I put it in twice, so I'll just take it out. We can also heart it, right? When you heart the report, it will now show up in part of your favorites reports here. Okay, so there it is. All right, so something to consider for your favorites, preload your favorite reports in there, like retirement paycheck, estate summary, multi-year estate projection, or stacked net worth. Those are a few of the favorite reports that many people like, and you can preload them in as you're under your favorites by hearting them. So just a quick side note there. I think that covers the reports. So let's carry on to project plan into new year. All right, so this could be really useful. I would say the timing of things, we're in January, so we probably want to do our planning for the year 2025, right? We don't want to advance to 2026 necessarily at this point in the year, but as the year progresses, maybe you're into September, October, November, and you're starting a plan. Maybe you want to consider just starting for the next calendar year. Well, we can do that now. So if I go back to the software up here in the upper left, the hamburger icon as I call it, we can go to settings, and here we go. We've got change plan start date to 2026. So if I clicked on this, everything will project and all my reports will start illustrating from 2026 moving onwards. So like I said, I probably wouldn't do that at this stage of the year, but as I get farther along, that might be something I consider doing. So could be really useful in some circumstances. Carry on. Oh yeah, as you click on that, and if you were to implement it, it's going to do the updates for the new year, and you need to check off yes or no for each of the items underneath. So you would have observed this if any plans you started last year and you go back into a plan you started last year, this year, like in January where we are, and you open up the plan, you're going to get this updates for the new year. This is just, moving everything, the data, the projection into the new calendar year based on the asset allocation you've entered, the rate of returns based on the interest rate on the liabilities. It's all going to project and carry forward to the next year. So you either hit yes or no, and then dismiss or next, right? If you dismiss, it won't let you update any of the data. So something to be mindful of. So you always have to say no and then next, or yes and then next. That way, it won't be read-only in the plan, right? So you'll notice that if that's an issue. If you hit no or dismiss and you're wondering, why can't I update my plan and the information? It's likely because of that reason, okay? Don't think there's anything else there I need to show you. Oh yeah, there's the little pop-up you'll get. Plan is moved into the new calendar year. So on your Conquest here, you'll get like a blue banner at the top going right across. That's what that is signifying. It's hard to see because the screen is small, I'm sure, on your end, but it'll be clear on your end when it actually does happen. So, feature enhancements. Okay, realistic retirement expense checks. So I've observed this a couple of times where advisors are loading in information and maybe they entered a retirement goal, because now if we want to do a retirement projection, you actually have to add in the retirement goal now. So you set a target date for retirement as well as a target spending for retirement. Okay, so we always have to set that for retirement planning. If you don't know the retirement amount or spending amount the client desires, notice I took it out and you get this little pop-up here. It says retirement expenses are too low in some or all the years of retirement. So that's just flagging, hey, you need a target spending amount. If you don't know, quickly you can add in, a little less than what they're currently earning, same as now, or a little bit more than now. So this information, these numbers are driven from the incomes that you've entered here. These are the net after-tax amount combined, okay, for the family household. So you might just want to throw in a little less than now, hit add, and it's a place to start, right? And then you can refine this further after discussing with your client, okay? So that's what that is alluding to. You know, it will flag if expenses are too low, for example, or if they're unachievable. Maybe there's a shortfall in retirement. Software's going to say, hey, you need to do some work on this retirement goal, or you need to reset expectations. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Integrity concerns. Yeah, just some more things, correcting any mistakes before you confirm the plan. Save monthly and add saving SAM strategy enhancements. So the enhancements are related to the bottom here. So when you apply a save monthly strategy, and it's in relation to major expense and an education goal, you're going to get the additional pop-up information down there. So if I go back to my major expense goal, so I have a trip to Greece. If I were to take this out, that lump sum, and I were to set up a savings, save $100 a month to a non-reg. So there you go. So we're going to just get some insight, okay? That $100 a month for 5 years and 1 month is going to grow at that rate of return assigned to the account, 2.96%. And you can see we've got 61 months to save, because I put in the target date for that goal is plan date plus 5 years. So that's 61 months from now. So we can either alter this or alter this, right, to get closer to their goal and see if that's achievable. Or maybe we want to add additional items, just additional strategies to work towards achieving that goal. So that's what's in relation to this update here. Just further insight and notes in there. Kind of reminds me of step-by-step planning, you know, where you get that description. Anyway, beneficiary designations on FHSA accounts. So this is just falling in line with the other registered accounts. If you go to the accounts card, you'll notice I don't have an FHSA here, but let's say I were to add one in really quickly, and I can go into more data. I have the beneficiaries tab. This was missing before, so it will default to the spouse as the primary beneficiary, and then estate as the contingent beneficiary. So what that does, as you know, it just helps streamline the estate planning process. It does the tax deferred rollover to the surviving spouse, etc. Same with TFSAs, account successor holders, as well as RSPs. We also have the feature of the beneficiaries we can put in there, and I missed the TFSA, so I'm just showing you there. So now we can thoroughly make sure that our clients have some beneficiaries all set up appropriately. Moving on to RESP contribution starting tax values. Okay, so the additional info here in the client data starting tax values card is in relation to the RESP contribution limits. And this is with regards to the beneficiaries. You can see the lifetime contribution amounts. We can use an estimate, or we can enter in the exact amount. So where does that go? So if I go to plan settings, I go to starting tax values, and I go to RESP. So I've got Jimmy Smith, who is the beneficiary on the RESP account, and there it is, estimate lifetime contributions. Can leave it as yes or no, and now a field opens up and I can enter the amount there. So if you don't know the info, maybe it's an opportunity to loop back with your client to confirm, or just leave it on as an estimate for now. Leave all the red toggles on to yes. Most people do that for the RSP and TFC contributions. Unless there's significant room, then you definitely want to change the yes to a no and enter their deduction limits on the TFSA, as well as the RSPs and FHSAs as well. So something to be mindful, and then you can develop strategies, right, to catch up on that deduction room, take advantage of that room to further tax shelter, or hopefully compound the growth of their savings in those tax preferred vehicles and things like that, if it makes sense. So I think that covers everything there. Corporation liabilities, repay in full toggle. So this is nice. We had this capability on the personal side for liabilities that were personally owned. We could repay in full. There's a repay in full toggle. What they've done is they've added it on the corporation side. I've added in a line of credit, just so you know. We go into more data. And when you have additional payments, if you wanted to illustrate, this is the addition. Repay in full. We can toggle it on yes or no. So something to be mindful of if you're building a strategy to repay in full at a certain point in time in the future. We can now implement that on the corporations just with one little click of that toggle, which is really nice. And then finally, assumption changes. The prescribed rate loans default interest rate was adjusted according to the CRA change back in November for Q3, Q4. It was adjusted to 5%. So that covers everything. That was pretty quick. Hope I didn't overwhelm you. If you made it to the end, thank you so much. Any questions, any follow-up, reach out to me. You know where to find me, and we can go into more detail to explain any of these components I reviewed with you today. So have a great day.